everybody, my name is Kayamanika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today, Hiroaka again. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm catching up on characters, so it's kind of been a bit like this for a while. I imagine this might be the last one I do for a hot second, unless a pre-order I did is late and delayed into, like, October for some reason, even though it says it's supposed to come in August, so hopefully it'll be coming out early on in this little scourge. But, yeah, that's right. I got another Hiroaka character, arguably the, one of the four main, I guess, interesting, important characters. Because we've already looked at, two Izuku Midoriyas. We've looked at, an Ochako Uraraka. If we're looking at, like, final battles, who gets big, important final bouts. We've looked at a Katsuki Bakugo, but we haven't looked at the little edgy, spicy, cold boy, icy hot, those things advertised by Shaquille O'Neal. That's right, today we are taking a look at none other than the Revoltech amazing Yamaguchi, Shoto, Todoroki. This is also likely going to be my place where I get to complain a little bit about the figure arts offering, because I don't think I'm going to be picking it up. I could be marking my words, but that figure makes a couple decisions this figure, outside of being a little bit earlier, won out for me, oddly enough. Even though it is an older figure, and it is a figure that looks a little bit less accurate, and probably won't scale as well with my other figures. It's in part because Shoto Todoroki isn't a character I'm super attached to. Like, he's an important My Hero Academia character. But, like, there's a reason why my first two characters that I got were Izuku Midoriya and Ochako Uraraka. Outside of availability, they were like, hey, those were kind of the characters that I thought of design-wise. And there are other characters who I thought of that are kind of harder to get, or just don't have fucking action figures as of the time of this recording. It's fine. There will be a figure of her in August. Anyways, yeah. Today we're taking a look at Shoto Todoroki, as to be expected. This also does give us a good chance to look at old amazing Yamaguchi box art, because while I have looked at it on the channel once before, I think, if I remember that review correctly, that review came out, like, I think before COVID, yeah. That's like over 5 fucking years ago. Like, what the hell was I doing? Anyways, I was in high school back then. I didn't really know what I was doing, honestly. And I still don't really know what I'm doing, but, which is why this intro is 3 minutes long. But here we are. We have a classic Amazing Yamaguchi box art, which the previous Amazing Yamaguchis and general Revoltechs that we've looked at have been in a much more generic box art design, which is fine enough, but there is something popping about this. I don't necessarily mean the window package. Window packages are fine. They look nice and they allow you to look at QC, but when I order most of my things online, it's something I don't care about as much. Whatever. As you can see, there's a window that allows you to look in the package. It's a fairly large window, all things considered. You get the full-ass figure. I mean, it's because this is a huge-ass box. You get a bunch of the accessories, including a bunch of the faces, effect parts, hair options, the whole 9 yards. And then you get an image of the figure, the name of the character, Shoto Todoroki, that it's the 26th figure in the Amazing Yamaguchi line, that it is part of the Amazing Yamaguchi line with that classic Amazing Yamaguchi logo, powered by Revoltech, Figure Complex, whatever, Kyoto, whatever the Kennel font, whatever the fuck that is, My Hero Academia. As you can see in the background, there's just a bunch of shit going on. There's, like, paint splatter, there are sound effects, there's, like, other comic book panel-y things, and it looks nice. And honestly, this is probably my favorite Amazing Yamaguchi box I've seen, in part because it like, maybe it's just because of the size of the window, but there isn't, like, as much extremely there, honestly. This feels a lot more minimalistic in comparison to the previous ones, which kind of balances out the extremities of earlier boxes, and just kind of, it just balances out, and it looks nice, especially since mainly what you're looking at is the contrasting blues and orange. And then Shoto really pops out in being such a darker tone. It works well. I like it. Anyways, top of the box gives you a look at Shoto from the anime, I believe. I believe this is a screenshot from somewhere in the anime. Probably like season 4 or season 5 or something. I don't know. My Hero Academia, Shoto Todoroki, figure number 26, Amazing Yamaguchi. This looks nice. On the side, you get a bunch of nice little comic book panel-y looks at Shoto doing different things with different accessories. I think that's probably a quote right there. I cannot read Japanese. My Hero Academia, Kyoto, Shoto Todoroki, and you have a main photo of the figure of him with the cell phone that comes with it, which is an interesting accessory. I always find it interesting when more casual accessories come with figures. And then more of the foosh or whatever. On this side, you get even more comic book panels, though they're mostly from the anime, which is interesting. And more of the foosh, My Hero Academia with Amazing Yamaguchi hidden behind it. And then you have, which kind of spreads onto the front, interestingly, a sort of comic book cutout-y look of the figure, which is a very nice look, and one of the reasons I bought this version. On the bottom, you get the usual legalese, as well as another image from the anime of a more, I guess, casual moment where he's like, eh, or something. He's probably being, like, weirdly dense or, like, weirdly smart or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Shoto's a weird character. On the back, this is where all your promotional images come in. I said this is probably the last one that I need to get a figure of. That's probably a lie. I don't have an All Might. I'm looking into getting this All Might. It would require me to go through, I guess, secondhand buying. So I gotta look out for deals for it. But I am, I guess, in the market for the Amazing Yamaguchi All Might. Whatever. You get an image of the 4 released figures at the time. The All Might, the Izuku Midoriya, the Bakugo Katsuki, and Shoto Todoroki, sold separately or whatever. You get a bunch of fucking quotes, I imagine, is what all the Japanese is. Previous series have had English quotes, from what I remember, when they were American characters. But since this is a Japanese character, all the quotes are in Japanese, which makes sense. You get promotional images of him using his ice powers, him using both, I guess, including the hair part, him using his fire powers, as well as primarily looks at a bunch of the faceplates, though not all of them, obviously. It shows a good spread of the 2 main expressions that you get, because it says there are 7 faceplates. There are 2 main expressions you get, though. More legalese and, like, information. A look at all the option parts that you get in the set, which is always nice to see, and it shows just the sheer amount of stuff that comes in here. But without further ado, let's get this open. Now, while I open this, I guess I'll be ranting a little bit because I'm a little freak. So the SH Figure Arts... Oh, I guess there's no tape. Anyways, I ordered this from... Don't worry, I ordered this from an official source, so it's not going to be a bootleg. It's just weird. Oh yes, on the inside, we get, I guess, more interesting flaps than usual. My Hero Academia up here. Another anime licensed image here at the bottom. I think that's from when they were training the kids, with the kids, after the provisional license exam. Oh, and there's another little image here. There's just images fucking everywhere. Anyways, I guess I'm gonna rant about the SH Figure Arts. It looks fine. It looks serviceable. It looks about as good as... aesthetically, it looks about as good as the previous figures, and it probably in the SHF line, it probably has a similar level of, like, build and articulation. Sliding this out of the box. We also get one more look at the back, which is the image from the top, again, as a backdrop, and it says My Hero Academia on that side. And it's just an image of Shoto Todoroki, which, sure. Anyways, let's do that. I'm not going to take it all out because it's whatever, but that's neat. But yeah, the SH Figure Arts looks neat enough. It just makes some decisions I don't like. Which I guess we'll have to get into as we get into the accessories. And we get into the main figure. Here it is out of the box. I imagine this has been in a box for quite a long time, because despite me buying this new, this is the original version. There has never been a reissue of it, as far as I can tell, at least. But for some reason, Big Bad Toy Store, as of May of 2025, when I am recording this video, still has seemingly ample stock of this figure. I have no clue why. Most of the Revoltech figures that they've gotten have sold out pretty quickly. But for some reason, Shoto Todoroki is still around. as of May of 2025. That might change by the time you're watching this in October of 2025, I believe, but yeah, I don't know why though. Is it just because he's short? Whatever, this is the accessory loadout, but there's also some stuff on the back. Hey, would you look at that? It's taped in quite shoddily, seemingly. I don't like Revoltech's tape. This is bad. I hate it. Anyways, as you can see, as per usual, it comes with a Revoltech stand. We have had a time with these before. Let me fucking open it, though. Just to show you how this works. We've had a time with some of these, but maybe since this is older, maybe it'll work better. So, you have the base, which is probably my favorite part of these, because there's just a lot of portholes, and it allows for a lot of customizability. And I imagine I could probably use it with some other figure. Anyways, let's check this stand arm. Okay, yeah, that's good. This is nice and tight. Previous Revoltechs, we've had bad stand arms. See also Nirko. But this one, while not the tightest, it feels good. It feels good. And finally, there is this clamp. If it'll show up. You got a clamp. You got a clamp for the word effect bubble thingies, and you get 2 extra blue Revoltech pegs. I imagine just in case those ones break. Which is neat. I kind of wished there's also spare ones for the fire effects, but I don't know. Maybe those are lighter, and maybe they did math or something. I don't know. Maybe they did math. Action figures are like a work of like art and engineering mixing together or whatever. So you got your clamp. That's a somewhat loose clamp, but I'm not going to use the clamp because they all have fucking peg holes. You get this one, which is for the sound effects, which I have to imagine are down there. And you get 2 spare Revoltech pegs that are in this light blue color. They aren't for the wrists. They aren't for whatever. These are for the effect parts, which it's nice that they include some spares just in case they break. Yeah, they look nice. Let's put those down. Now I gotta get this out. Oh, where the fuck are the sound effects? Am I stupid? Are they still in the... Whatever. There's supposed to be sound effect parts. What the fuck is going on? Do they fall out somewhere? Am I stupid? Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to update you on that. They might still be in the box this all came in. Maybe that's just something to keep in mind. I don't know where they are. I mean, I could be stupid. Anyways, because I mean, the tape was being a bit of... Oh, there they are. They did fall out. I just didn't see them. I'm stupid. As you can see, I'm so stupid. There are also 3 sound effect parts. Let's get those out of the package. They just kind of slid out. Ah! Ah! So anyways, yeah, let's get these out. So yeah, see, 3 sound effect parts. They have a little clear backing on them, which seems to have been really warping with time. And you just gotta take that off. So effect 1, this is for both fire and ice. It says Wakum. From what I can tell, it looks very accurate to the original source material. It looks nice. It's a little warped, I guess, because of its size and the amount of time it's been in the box. So I guess just keep that in mind if you're an inbox collector. All of these have little films. Am I gonna get them off on camera? Because or am I not? I'm not. Maybe. You gotta kind of work them off. This keeps them protected, I guess. Because, I mean, I think it's printed on the backside, but you've got for ice, you've got a floosh. People have made jokes about this. I don't really care about the jokes. Other toy reviewers or whatever. You know how things work. It says a floosh for the ice. And then for the fire... There we go. A nice little spot where it's bubbling up with time. There's a foosh for fire effect. Ugh. Foosh. Kind of wish it came with 2 stands like a Zuku so that you could have, or at least 2 stand arms, so that you could have both at the same time, both on a stand at the same time, but I guess Shoto's slightly less of an aerial character? Yeah, let's go with that. But now, 15 minutes in, we have to actually look what's in this box, part of the box. Yeah, I hope y'all are doing okay. Those sound effects are always a nice addition to the package, and it's interesting that Figure Arts also did them. Anyways, let's talk accessories. Let's put one of these back where it belongs, because for some reason it slid out over the years of it being in the box. So inbox collectors, keep that in mind. It's not permanently properly there. Oh no! Anyways, I guess we can start with hands, because there is a decent number of them. So, I'm just trying to get a good look at it. We have one super open spread palm hand, which is a bit rounded off. I guess that's trying to keep in keeping with the aesthetic while still being properly sized in Yamaguchi's style. This is for a ice effect that we will get to. We have the other, alternate, I guess, singular hand part, which is this finger kind of pointing, poking hand, which looks nice. It's gripped nicely. I think this is for two purposes, which you can see right here, for tapping on the phone or for like pulling back on his collar, which is something he does. I think, whatever, it's weird. He's a weird guy. Anyways, that actually pairs, I think, with this hand as well. I believe this is specifically the phone-holding hand, though it is a really interesting gesture, and sculpted very well, all things considered. There's a lot of interesting musculature in there. There's also... Or maybe this is this the phone-holding hand? What the fuck? There's this hand, which I guess could also be for using his magic effects. No, this is not the phone-holding hand. I think this is for, like, casting his elements. But in a more relaxed manner. And then there is the more, I guess, kind of widespread action-y hand, which is also to mimic him using his effects, which is always nice. It's a good spread of hands. Maybe there could have been more, but he doesn't really hold anything, I guess. He doesn't really have weapons or anything. Whatever. Anyways, speaking of those, we also, as mentioned before, have a phone. The whatever conversation he's having is fairly nondescript. I believe this also pairs with the Endeavor that Yamaguchi released. It's like that's a parallel of this piece. Whatever. It's nice. I do like that he comes with the phone in a text message. It's printed nicely. The back really doesn't have anything, but I mean, it's not supposed to be a specific brand, I guess. It's a phone. It's a smartphone. I do like characters. I do like having spare smartphone accessories because it adds, I guess, a layer of realism to what poses I can do with figures. Next up, let's take a look at some faces. First off, I'll do the one up here. This shows kind of what this set is doing. So if you remember from the Izuku Midoriya, that one only had 3 faceplates, but that's because a lot of its spare expressions were done with eyes. They didn't want to do that this time. I think they did it with Bakugo, and they did it with All Might, but they didn't do it this time. Instead, it's just faceplates printed on, similar to like Uraraka and Mirko. It works. It does mean you have a lot of essentially the same facial expression, but I mean, I guess he's not a very expressive guy, and from what I can tell, it generally works. So yeah, this one has him looking to this side. I believe he has in his sterner expression. He also has a sterner expression looking straight forward, or upward slightly, which is nice. Which looks a little bit more relaxed than the one on him currently. He also has a sterner expression looking to this side, his burned side, whatever. I'm bad with directions. Left. Yeah, they all have the burn done nicely. It's printed nicely. It looks a little off from his screen model, but I'm not too picky. It's the Yamaguchi style. It works. And then with said stern face, you also get it looking downward. Whoa, he can be looking at his phone, or he can be looking down at you and calling you a dumbass or something. I don't know. And then there's also 3, what we'll call angry faces, teeth gritted faces, whatever. Here we have him looking forward, being like, what? Or whatever, or like using his fire. This is very characterful, and I do like it. It fits. This one fits Shoto very well. This one feels a lot more Shoto than the normal faces. We have him looking to his left again, just in case he's using his fire like that. And I guess he usually looks like this when he's using his fire because he's getting a little bit more expressive. And he also has this kind of pupil dilated looking down, which I think is kind of meant to be like that moment in the sports festival or something. Whatever. But anyways, now I get to go on to the reason that I chose this over the figure arts. Even though the figure arts technically is now, at the time of this recording, I still don't think I'm going to buy the figure arts. Because it doesn't come with as many fucking effects parts. Now, I do think it comes with the spare hairpiece. This one does look nice, though. It's got the eyesight kind of like spiking outward. It's cleanly painted. From what I can tell, there's a little bit of white poking up, but that's fine. It's hair. But it also has the fire glued on right here, and that fire looks very nice. It looks good. It's got a nice color transition, colorway, whatever. It looks nice, and then you just kind of plug it onto the face when you need the fire effects to go crazy. But the reason we're here is because of all of the element effects. I was honestly very disappointed seeing solicitations after the fact of the effect loadout for that Shoto. And I know the other figures didn't really come with as many effect parts, but like, even the specifics of what was chosen, because there are some effect parts, but like, especially right after getting Fire Fist Ace, it's just like Fire Fists, essentially, and like an Ice Fist, and then a touching the ground, and then the Crossfire from the end of the series, which I get including the Crossfire. It's specific to that version. But God, it's so expensive. I wish they would have splurged for a little bit more. I'm sorry. And for like essentially $10 extra, you get all fucking this. So for Ice, you get that previously mentioned hand on the ground, which as you can see, the hand is sculpted in there. You compare the two of them, and it makes it look like he is spreading the ice on the floor, which is nice. It is a sharp piece, and it's also painted fairly well. I like the way that the white transitions into the clear blue of the plastic, and it looks very nice. Nice and sharp and spiky and icy. I like that. But there are also these 2 tiny ice effect parts. These are for his arm, primarily. You're meant to stick these on his arm, and they are painted very similarly, though they are a lot more geometric rather than triangular. Or I guess rectangular than triangular, though there are triangles in there. And it looks like effectively like ice. There is the clear bit at the bottom. There's a little bit more blue here, and then white at the top. It reads as ice, and these are very nice. I really like how they look. And they're especially shining in the light. But yeah, these plug into the arms, but that's because these larger ice effects are meant for the ground / his legs. And yeah, this is great. Once again, very rectangular and like very angular. Not the most natural, but they read. And you can either plug these into his leg or into his foot for working on the ground. And they are slightly modular. You can see the portholes that plug into those 2 extra spare parts that we saw before. And it just looks great. They're nice and big and chunky and icy, and it looks good. And finally, alongside that, you also get, if I move this out of the way, 3 that are, from what I can tell, identical fire effects. And why doesn't the figure arts have something like this? Because, like, I don't really think of Todoroki as a puncher. Like, I'm sure he uses his fire to punch. But when I think quintessential Todoroki, I think of shit like this, just like shooting out the fire in like a big burst of energy, or shooting at the ice in a big burst. He is so powerful. He eventually learns control of it, but like his flames and ice were just so big that like not including that size just feels like a waste to me, at least. Yeah, this is nicely sculpted, a lot rounder and in a very different, like a lot more curvy than the ice, which again feels very straight and geometric. So they have that nice contrast, but overall the shaping is generally nice. From what I can tell, I think they can kind of sort of plug it together, or not really, but like you're not supposed to have too many of these on him at once. You can't have like all three on like one arm because that weighs him down, but from what I've seen, these work nicely, and they are painted very nicely. The clear yellow and the clear red transitioning very nicely into each other again, and they just look like nice fire effects. But finally, it's time to get into the actual figure. You gotta move some plastic out of the way, and there's some plastic in him as well. Very protective of this cold and hot boy. Yeah, here we have him. Okay, those are some looser shoulders. Right, I gotta remember that the Izuku Midoriya and a lot of the modern Revoltechs are a little bit, I guess, tighter. I imagine from fan complaints from these earlier looser figures. Yeah, I can feel that looseness. I don't mind the looseness. I've come to terms with it, I guess, and I understand. And like, as long as he can hold up a pose, which I imagine he can. Jesus Christ, they put this shit everywhere. You're like, no paint rub, no paint. There will be no paint rubbing. There's a smoothness, even if there is a looseness to everything. Let's actually try putting one of the fire effects on him. So as you can see, there are portholes as per usual. You just kind of plug it in. And yeah, you can hold it up. You can hold up at least one at a time. Ew. That hand has a lot of paint marring on it for some reason. I'll have to rub that off. But anyways, yeah. Here he is. Shoto Todoroki. And, yeah, it's in his, I guess, post fucking, what's it called? Post sports festival look, where he's all blue rather than the half ice look, which I'm probably in the minority about this. I kind of like that look. I kind of miss that look. It's giving Terminator, kind of. But yeah. This is an older figure. But yeah, looking at the head, oddly enough, this is one of my less favorite heads of what's included. It doesn't quite read as Shoto as much to me as some of the other faces, at least. But it does work. Maybe it's just the shaping of the mouth, I think, and maybe the slight sizing of the eyes. But yeah, and then the hair is also very cleanly split. The paint is fairly clean. There's a little bit of paint mess-ups on it, but it seems to work fine. His costume is overall fairly plain and fairly simple. As you can see, yeah, it's a fairly plain, simple look. He's got the blue jumpsuit. He's got these little straps on him, and he's got these white boots. I guess that's part of the reason why I wasn't super jazzed on getting one, but like, since it was available, I did. It's a very plain costume, and like, it does have a little bit of that amazing Yamaguchi proportions that look a little bit awkward. Legs work a little bit more, I guess, normally, huh? That's weird. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting used to this figure. It's certainly looser than, because like, you can see you're kind of wobbling, but like, I think he'll hold up a pose anyways. Like, and besides, you're not really meant to plug in anything to his torso, thankfully, so that's good. He does seem to be holding poses, at least, even if you can flop him around a bit. Just be careful, or maybe get some tightening agents. Yeah, on the back, you can see a little bit more of that harness, and it's a little bit more sculpted. He's got the little dingle bobs on the belt, which has its separation, probably for articulation's sake. The arms are also fairly plain. They cut off around here. They have these gauntlets, which gets to, I guess, my another main complaint about the figure arts. They have saber hands. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the SH Figure Arts Commander Saber line Has this thing where I imagine to save on costs on at least the original release. They make it so that there's a bunch of individual hand parts, but to save on paint, the hand guard, which has the most paint out of any part of the hand, you gotta take off and swap onto each hand. And you only get one set, and it sucks because you can lose them or they'll break, and it sucks, and I hate it, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And like, yes, this has this little floppy hand cap, but at least it's a hand cap, and there isn't as much worry of breakage. The fucking saber hands break all the fucking time, and I hate it so much. It sucks so bad. Why did they bring them back after Saber? I thought we didn't do that anymore. Why did we do this? You've painted other characters' hands far more intricately in this line. Why are you cutting corners there on Shoto? Anyways, this one has normal hands. Obviously, we've went over this fucking shit. I'll deal with that. I'll deal with that weird dying later. But yeah. But anyways, this is an amazing Yamaguchi figure, which means it focuses on articulation, even where it is a little bit floppy. Anyways, so starting off, the head is on a ball, it's on hinges and pegs and whatnot. I think there might be a Revoltech joint in there. But since there's a little flap here in the back of the hair, which does lead to a little bit of gappage if you look back there, you can look down that far, but you can look up all the way, which is absurd, which, again, the Izuku also had something like this, so not with the flapping hair, but I'm glad that they can look all the way up. It allows for extreme poses to be done a lot easier. Arms. So there is a butterfly here, similar to previous amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech butterflies. Yeah, also there's some side to side, a little bit limited by the collar, but not by much, so that's good. Yeah, butterfly here. It does extend with the backpack, which is nice, and you get a little bit of extra painted detail from the brown straps, which is nice. Shoulders are like a double ball peg sort of deal. I think there might be like Revoltechs or whatever, which allows us to get up that far, give or take, but also allows for that. And there's some swivel there, though there isn't really a full swivel. And there's also swivel down here, so it overall is able to combine into like a full swivel effect, though it's a little bit more of a hassle. Single Revoltech hinge with the swivel at the top and the bottom, but given the range, it allows for a full double hinge, essentially a full double hinge, which is nice. And then the hands are on your usual Revoltech wrist peg, which has a swivel and a bit of a hinge, though it is limited by the wrist system. This side seems tighter than this side, just keep in mind for mine at least. Ball joint. There's those, which allows him, and there's probably even more in there, which while it does have some gappage, allows him to crunch down that far, which is once again very impressive. Not a lot of arcing back, but I do imagine Shoto is going to be crunching more than he is arcing. But the arc is still fairly nice, and gets you some very good side to side, and some good swivel. These, I believe, are on hinges, sort of. They're on some sort of joint hitch, which allows them to wiggle slightly. And these little dingle-dongles are also on, like, swivels. So that's nice. Be careful not to lose them, I guess. The legs seem to be on fairly standard ball joints, which allows them to kick forward, though there is a little bit of a twist when you kick forward. Kick outward basically all the way, which is strange for, I guess, Revoltech, for Amazing Yamaguchi to be able to kick out this far. Because usually what you're supposed to do is, like, do that and then swivel it, but there we go. There is also a swivel, though it is still at the thigh, though it is still angled, as you would expect. It also kind of works in tandem with the ball joint at the hips, whatever. There is a single jointed knee here, which is a little bit ugly from the back, but thanks to the gappage, it is able to get all the way. And finally, for the boot, you're able to hinge downward all the way. I think there's a little bit of a ball joint in there too. Hinge upwards somewhat, and ankle tilt all the way, and there is a toe bend. So yeah, outside of being a little bit loose, which doesn't give it the greatest hand feel, all things considered, and this fucking hand being a little bit of a fucking asshole. Yeah, good figure. I like it. I don't think it's my favorite figure, but I don't think it was going to be, because he has a very plain fucking design. Especially given what I've seen Horikoshi do before. It's just kind of a guy in a jumpsuit, which I guess is fine, but I wouldn't. If you are a Todoroki fan, I don't know. The figure arts isn't out yet. That might be a fucking banger outside of the saber hands, but It also has saber hands, so I don't think I can quite recommend it. What I should probably do is, if you are into the figure arts and you want one, again, people have mentioned that he is short. Here he is with Izuku Midoriya, which seems fine-ish to me. He is a little short. Obviously, he has his smaller proportions, but you can fudge it because it's close enough to where you can fudge it. And besides, I'm not the strictest scale stickler anyhow. But yeah, this is a nice enough figure for a character I'm not crazy into, so yeah. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this little video, little whatever. I hope it helped you make a purchase if you are interested in purchasing this. I'd say it's for a fair price because you get a lot of stuff with it. And it is very nicely articulated. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to do all the usual YouTube stuff. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!